He's Jalen Rose. I'm David Jacoby. We are Jalen and Jacoby. What is it that we do?
We get the people what they want.
2 games last night in the play-in tournament, the 9-10 matchups. 2 teams moved on. 2 teams went home. We start where the action ended last night in New Orleans, where it was that man, fresh from Portland, now with the Pelicans, CJ McCollum had himself a night. 19 points in the third quarter.
Playoff experience. See, the one thing about he and Dame, Mama's boys in Portland each year that people slept on is that they made the playoffs each year. And one of those years, the Western Conference Finals.
Yep.
And when CJ McCollum is healthy, he's a 25-point scorer. That's what he's going to be.
He's been great for the Pelicans.
Absolutely. And so now all of a sudden you balance that with Brandon Ingram and how they move Brandon Ingram around now. You notice you see him hanging on the rim a lot more and less isolation, down screen, curl, get him going to his left. He likes that shot, made him more efficient.
It's a good point.
And so now he's able to close games. He's not as fatigued. And the one other thing I want to make sure I acknowledge is Valanciunas, using his height, using his size.
Yep.
You know, taking up space, keeping balls alive, scoring the ball. And so, like, this team, when you see Zion doing a 360 in warm-ups and Garrett Temple buying everybody's suits in order to play to do the play-in game, like, you start to feel good about your collection of individuals that you're going to play ball with.
I'm glad you brought up that phrase, collection of individuals, because one thing I love about this Pelicans game I was watching, I was like, they had a great rookie class. You know, Herb Jones has been getting all the attention that he deserves for his defensive and offensive contributions. They also have Trey Murphy, and you know, I love Brooklyn's own Jose Alvarado. Now, Jose Alvarado, he got a lot of attention for stealing the ball and being sneaky, but he is contributing on both sides of the floor for this Pelicans team. And the way that they're developing these players, the way they drafted these players, they traded for Murphy, they're doing a great job with the collection of individuals to add to Zion, who's not even playing.
Did you say rookies developing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So early in the year, I sat here and I told everybody, Ime Udoka and Willie Green, don't worry.
It didn't look good early.
Don't worry. I know when I said James Harden was going to end up in Philly, there's certain things that get said, people think I'm bugging. I'm telling you. Willie Green know what he's doing. You just told me 3 rookies. Now, I saw the experience versus Pop, right? This is his first year. I mean, he's been with the Golden State Warriors. He's been with Monty Williams. He's won a championship as a coach. He's been a player. And so now all of a sudden you go into that matchup with Pop, and they put the years up there and the experience versus the legend, and you now believe if it's close, Pop gonna find a way to get this done.
Wasn't close.
It wasn't close. And I want to give the Pelicans a lot of credit for that. And what you just described, Jacoby, is a nice young team.
Yes, it is.
That's a nice young team. They got 3 All-Stars. Don't sleep. Not many of your favorite NBA teams currently have 3 All-Stars. They have that. CJ McCollum is the person I'm talking about being number 3 that hasn't necessarily played in the game yet.
He has not played in the game yet. Is this Greg Popovich's last game coaching the Spurs?
No, I don't believe so.
Really?
And I hope it isn't. And just to watch how his career has progressed, not only an elite teacher and coach, leader of men, but also how they develop talent to go with David Robinson and Tim Duncan, and how Tim Duncan was likely one of the most skilled big men you will ever see. He came in shooting that bang shot, blocking shots, playing D, and then they built out the roster. They turned Tony Parker into a bucket who was leading the league in points in the paint at one time. And Manu Ginobili, these guys Hall of Famers. And Manu Ginobili was a 6-man, could have been a starter left. And just so you guys know, long hair Manu was a problem. I played against him. You know what I'm saying? Like, straight up. And he even let me know, like, he wore number 5 and was a lefty because of me. I'm like, well, why you giving me buckets then?
All the buckets.
You know what I'm saying? And so I really appreciate what he did, and then turning the team over to Kawhi, and he became their best player. And so, like, the legend is cemented. but I don't think he's going to end it after this
But
year.
we will see. We will now turn our attention to the first game between 9 and 10. Atlanta Hawks hosting the Hornets. Like the other game, this one was not close. Trae Young had a great second half after kind of sputtering out of the gate, but it was the Hawks who came away with an easy win.
I'm going to remind people, the Hawks made the Eastern Conference Finals
Easy to forget.
last year.
Easy to forget.
And that guy right there, let me tell you a statement. As a basketball lifer, I've literally been saying my entire life that Tiny Archibald is the only person in the history of the NBA to lead the league in points and assists. You know how long that record's been standing? 49 years. Ever since I started playing basketball, I looked at every player like, is Isaiah gonna do it? Is Iverson gonna do it? Like, this is like holy grail as it relates to like performance. And Trae Young has been dazzling. And so now all of a sudden Bogdanovich making shots and Clint Capella blocking shots and finishing down low, and Hunter locking down on D, and him being healthy is just a game changer for them. And so going into the playoffs, the Hawks seem confident, and rightfully so.
They play the Cavs. I could easily see the Hawks beating the Cavs and sending the Cavs home and then becoming the 8 seed.
I can see that happen, especially if the Cavs are going to be shorthanded.
And they're 3-1 versus the Cavs this season. I think the Hawks are going to end up as the 8 seed facing the Miami Heat. But that is not locked in stone. Now we're going to discuss some series that are going to be upon us very shortly, and we're going to get you ready for them. The first one, we're going to start with the champions. The championship Milwaukee Bucks are playing the struggling Chicago Bulls in the first round. Some might even say that the Bucks might have rested some star players the last game of the season in order to play the Bulls in the first round, and I would agree with them if they said that, and I would think it was a good strategy.
Well, the champs got rewarded. You know, when you play with effort and tenacity and discipline the entire time, you look up at the schedule and all of a sudden you can do one thing and it falls in your favor, and you have the defending champs getting a Bulls team that limped into the playoffs, had one of the worst records in the second half since All-Star break, and struggled the entire year against good teams in both conferences. Though DeMar DeRozan was dazzling and has been dazzling offensively, obviously Levine's dealt with some injuries. They dealt with some injury in their backcourt. So this worked out in Milwaukee's favor. But as we're talking about the East and matchups, you reminded me of something.
What's that?
Miami versus Atlanta?
Yes.
I could see it rain. I could see it rain.
Yes.
Jeez.
That'll be a good one. But now we're going to keep our attention on this one. The Bulls, as you mentioned, just they've really struggled against the good teams.
Yep.
If you look at the numbers, is they have a good record. However, they feasted against the bad teams, and they basically lost all of their games to the best teams. It's really embarrassing when you look at it like that. And I do not see them winning 2 games in this season.
And that's, again, why if you're the Bucks, you get lucky. Because remember, JALEN ROSE told y'all this. Philly about to be in a dogfight with the Raptors. See, the Bucks are going to end this series at worst in 5. At worst. Gentlemen's sweep.
They don't even have to travel far between Chicago.
Driving back and forth.
Nothing.
Giannis ain't got to get on the plane.
Nothing.
You know what I mean? This is all love. And so
let's turn our attention to that other matchup between
cool.
the Sixers and the Raptors. Why do you think that this Sixers team that has Joel Embiid, potential MVP, James Harden, Hall of Famer, those 2 offensive threats are going to have trouble against Toronto?
And I want to shout the marketing and media relations team of the Toronto Raptors, because there are a lot of people that want things in life, Jacoby. Want your time, want your energy, want your money. And I want people to ride for me the way the Raptors ride for their players and their marketing materials, to try to make sure that they get acknowledged like they did with Fred VanVleet and the Monopoly game. It was really smart and well done. Pascal Siakam, P Skills, they gave me a toolkit. They got the hammer and got the glue. And I'm telling you that story as we watch our guy Joel Embiid dominate, and Scotty Barnes, the rookie, deserves to be in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. You know that they're going to be doing a lot of switching.
That's what they do.
Right?
They got Fred VanVleet and a bunch of people that are 6'8" that can guard anybody.
And remember what I told you Pascal Siakam was. I told you he was the perfect forward in the East, because the East only have a couple of guys that play the 4 or 5 position that really could get you 20 points in the game. Giannis, Bam, and Embiid.
So let me ask you a question. As a great NBA analyst, one of the strengths of the Raptors is they have OG Anunoby and Boucher and Siakam and all of these long bonds, long switchable, sort of quick but big players. However, they do not have that one big centerpiece in the middle that can guard Joel Embiid. Is that going to work for them or against them in the series?
See, what you do is swarm, like to kill a bee.
Kill a bees in a swarm?
Absolutely. So, just like anything else, that's how they're going to make Embiid play in the crowd. That's what's going to happen. When he had a ball 15 and 18 feet away from the basket, it's going to be somebody on him. It's going to be somebody on the block. It's going to be somebody on the elbow. And let me say a name out loud that we haven't said. There's immense pressure on Mr. James Harden.
Yes. There's no question who the most pressure is on in the NBA this offseason.
In either conference. Let's make sure we're on the same page.
A big gap and then everybody else.
Because he now gets to piggyback the process. And during the process, has Philly made the Eastern Conference Finals?
No.
Okay. And last year, they were the number 1 seed, right? Well, they ain't the number 1 seed this year. And if they don't make it to the Eastern Conference Finals this year, that ain't progress. People gonna be looking at James's performance. You got your way. You wanted out of the Nets, you dogged it, got your way. You wanted out of Houston, you dogged it, you got your way. Now are you gonna be the person that now have people looking at Doc Rivers and trying to figure his job? Are you gonna cost your guy Daryl Morey his job? And here's the other thing I want you to know. You gotta look at the owner. And we keep saying, oh, James Harden and Daryl Morey. But you know, he got to ask the owner, hey, in 5 years, can we pay James Harden $60 million?
Do you happen to have $250 million for James Harden somewhere?
That conversation doesn't go as well if you get bounced by Toronto in the first round. A team that's won it. And let me say something else out loud that people need to put some respect on the Raptors. The championship pedigree of Nick Nurse, Fred VanVleet, they was balling. Pascal Siakam, we give Kawhi all of the credit, and he was the superstar of that team, but they was building that before he got there. And so this is going to be a series to watch in the Eastern Conference.
We'll give you our official predictions on these series as we get closer to them starting, but I'm a little concerned, Mr. Rose.
Oh,
one of my favorite players in the NBA, Luka Doncic. I'm concerned he's not going to play in Game 1. And I'm concerned for the Mavericks, who I really just want to see. I want to see Luka win one playoff series. You know what I mean? I want to see it happen. We'll talk about that much more right after this. You're watching. Coming to you live above the Heineken River Deck here in New York City in Pier 17. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby, Jalen Rose. We have some more playoff matchups we want to get you ready for. This time it is the 4-5. Between the Dallas Mavericks and the Utah Jazz. Seems like last couple of years we're talking about the Utah Jazz. Can they win the conference? Now we're looking at the Utah Jazz talking about, are they going to trade Mitchell or Gobert?
So a lot of what happens in the playoffs is when you face a team. And the Utah Jazz got lucky here.
Because Luka.
They found a landing spot that really puts them in position, in my opinion, not only to be favored, but to advance. For one simple reason. I don't think Luka's going to play all 7 games. For that reason alone, the Utah Jazz got a golden opportunity. A do-it-all kind of player, Luka, points, rebounds, assists, supersized triple-doubles.
He does it all.
Correct. Without him, I mean, Finney Smith is a really good player. He can knock down some shots. He'll still play defense and give you toughness. My namesake, Jalen Brunson, continues to improve, finishing at the hoop and making his open shots. Step back, bang, bang, Siegel Street. But without Luka, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Jordan Clarkson, that's a golden opportunity for them to even make it a short series.
Well, Luka's probably not going to play in Game 1. But if he comes back by Game 3, are they going to beat the Jazz?
I just don't think him playing 5 of the games is enough. Like this is the playoffs.
And Luka's got some really memorable playoff moments. However, he has never won a playoff series in the NBA.
And also, like, the Jazz present something that the Mavs need. The anchor in the middle. the Stifle Tower. And so he now has an opportunity to like really fill up the stat sheet. I know he recently had a 2020 game, but he should be getting like, you know, high rebound, high block games.
Yep.
And still not, you know, getting in foul trouble. It should be a big series for him.
I love Dwight Powell, but I can see Rudy Gobert posing a problem for them.
Well, how does Dwight Powell eat? You know what I'm saying? How does he eat? Luka pick and roll, drop it.
Yep.
Luka behind the back. Luka not gonna be there.
I know. Hopefully Luka gets better because I want to see him advance in the playoffs. Other Western Conference series that we know about locked in is the Warriors and the Nuggets. It looks like Steph Curry will be a go for this series.
The Nuggets and Jokic, you might as well substitute everything I said about Luka and say it about the Joker. With him being out there, they have a chance. But if the Warriors get Steph Curry back healthy, and that's going to go with how Klay Thompson has performed recently in particular, like the Warriors now have an opportunity to get their big three on the same page again. They've only played 11 total minutes together, the Splash Brothers and Draymond Green. The electric scoring of Jordan Poole, also the physicality up front of Kuminga. The Golden State Warriors, this is a really good opponent for them to not only advance, but put themselves in position to ease Steph back in as he's been out for so very long.
The one quote-unquote weakness in the Warriors lineup when they're all healthy would be the five spot. Kevin Looney and Kevon Looney. Jokic is going to pose a problem for them. Could Jokic have such a big series that the Nuggets win the series?
Well, here's the problem he's truly going to pose. Like, Draymond is a lockdown defender, but ain't nobody locking down the Joker.
No.
So there's going to be a level of frustration that now Draymond's going to have to make sure he contains. And when Looney's on the floor, he allows Jokic to be a roamer on defense, a rebounder, somebody that can start the fast break because he's getting the defensive rebound. So I agree with you. He's going to be a dominant force in this series, but this is where you start to miss Jamal Murray. This is where you start to miss Michael Porter Jr.
Absolutely. Moving on to the NFL. Baker Mayfield spoke out after the Browns acquired Deshaun Watson. He feels like he was disrespected, that he was misled, that he's been mistreated because they traded for Deshaun Watson. How do you feel about his comments?
I got two words for Baker and for anybody that wants to be a celebrity, a public figure, or just it now relates to each of us because we now have social media. Say less. Like at some point, Russell Westbrook, what Frank Vogel says. What you said about Frank Vogel not knowing why, you know, he didn't vibe with you or whatever. James Harden, you are feeling pressure. You should be. Baker Mayfield, you didn't have a great season.
Deshaun Watson's better quarterback than you.
You're with a number one pick, and though you showed that you could be a starter, you ain't Deshaun Watson. And we all know it. Like, I've gotten traded before. I've played against some of the all-time greats. And sometimes, Jacoby, after the game, I was having my steak and my lobster. I'd pull a stat sheet out of my packet. Like, I just scored 30 on the best superstars in the game. You know what I mean? And so, say less. You ain't even got a home yet.
No.
You see what I mean? And so, don't deter somebody from also wanting to bring you in. Now, Seattle seems to be a spot that's been discussed somewhat. Now you're filling some really big shoes. And Russell Wilson, stay tuned. You'll get a chance.
I've always loved Baker's personality, and I really feel that he had a torn labrum last season, and that's why he did not perform the way we wanted him to. And if he gets healthy, he can be a productive quarterback in the NFL. Jalen Rose, we have a lot more to discuss. Some very interesting occurrences in the Major League Baseball we're going to get to right